The mystery is over. Haney Flick has already chosen the goalkeeper who will replace Joan García, and this is not just hot air. It's not some late-night rumor fueled by cold churros from the Bernabeu. It's Wojciech Szczesny. Yes, Wojciech, the Wall of Warsaw, Szczesny, the veteran with iron hands and feet that don't tremble, even if Roncero is screaming in stereo. Barça moves in silence, with the stealth of a Blaugrana feline, and Flick has asked for exactly what was needed: experience, character, distribution without a lump in the throat, and that competitive edge necessary to silence the white mouths. If you bleed Blaugrana and hate the whistles gifted to Madrid, subscribe now, because here we get straight to the point, with substance, depth, and that cool touch that annoys the entire Chiringuito panel. You wanted a goalkeeper who not only stops shots but also imposes himself? Well, here he is, Szczesny, the guy who steals goals in Italy, whips up the tempo in Europe, and plays under pressure as if he's on vacation on the Costa Brava. Watch out, Madridistas in the room, prepare your excuses. The pitch, the light, the wind, the altitude, the humidity, and the satellite, because with Bocic in goal, the easy whistle won't cut it anymore. Let's stop posturing and get to the heart of the matter. Flick had it all figured out. He wanted an experienced goalkeeper, with authority and composure to thrive in enemy territory. A goalkeeper who, when Araujo soars to anticipate and cover, doesn't hide in the penalty area like a small-team goalkeeper, but comes out, commands, speaks, and decides. Szczesny has years in Serie A dominating his box as if it were his living room, with impeccable timing to block crosses and a reading of duels that turns the opponent's advantages into after-dinner jokes. He has the saves, the reflexes are in abundance. But what Flick senses from afar is the decision-making: when to speed up the build-up, when to calm the game, when to play over the first line, and when to break down the flank for Bald in an advantageous position. Opening a corridor with a midfielder, pinning the opposing striker with a feint, and, zaz, third balls to Fermin between the lines. This is not a goalkeeper who fears the ball. This is a goalkeeper who manages a match. And if anyone has existential doubts, no, we're not talking about some random TikTok highlight reel goalkeeper. We're talking about Boys Szczesny, hardened at Arsenal, polished at Roma, a champion and boss at Juventus. A guy who has walked through scorching stadiums without batting an eye, who has seen strikers of all kinds and sends back the first ball, provokes the second, and steals the third with a half-smile. This kind of calm that says, "Here we do what I say," is gold for a Barça with young, audacious players like LAMINE, Kubarsi, Bald, Fermin, and Gundogan modulating the rhythms. Flick needs a voice from behind and hands, firm hands in the box, a deep voice to organize the line, and, above all, tactical consistency. When the team is in a high block, the goalkeeper must be a true sweeper, not a statue with gloves. Regarding the transition in goal, it's not a whim, it's a necessity. Joan García was a topic of conversation, yes, but the plan being cooked up is not a postcard, it's a strategy. Since he fits into Flick's 2.0 version: coordinated pressing, central defenders on the edge of the circle, aggressive fullbacks, midfielders who bite, and a goalkeeper who covers the back of the line. And when it's time to break, he does so with judgment. Do you remember when Valdez changed the direction of play with a touch that left the opponent staring at Monui? Well, that spirit is back. And I see you, Madridistas. But, what about the League of Referees? Calm down, we're not here to cry, we're here to compete. If necessary, we're here to crush. In the casting, Flick had several names on the table that made Madridismo dream of laughing behind our backs. Whether it was the trendy one in Portugal, the Georgian giant who stops even flies, or the Premier League one with the community manager hype, Flick said, "I want a guarantee here and now, no window dressing, I want iron forged at 180 minutes, I want ice in the veins at the 92nd minute when the Bernabeu plays the drama anthem." Szczesny, my friends, is Champions League experience, a firm hand on penalties, and that feeling that if the game goes sour, he thrives, because there are goalkeepers who shrink when the noise rises and others who grow. Bach is one of those who grow. You want real football? Let's talk pure tactics. A build-up of three with a pivot dropping between the centre-backs. He reads the opponent's first line and offers you the angle that unlocks the play. If you're pressed with a striker and a winger on the outside, an inside channel for Christensen and a screen from Gundogan in the shadows. If the short pass is denied, a tense diagonal to Bald or Cancelo in width. And if you're squeezed on the outside, a purposeful long ball behind the fullback for Rafinha to run onto with an advantage. This isn't clearing for the sake of clearing, it's an aggressive pass with a destination. And in positional defense, pay attention. Timing in blocking, reading crosses to the far post, positioning when the striker tries to drag you to the goal line, and the courage to smother the shot before it's even born. This isn't the typical goalkeeper who swallows every low cross. This one closes the angle and pins down the ball, and when there's a scramble, he imposes the shout that resets the center-backs and orders the chaos. If Edu Aguirre wanted a show, let him go to the circus. Here, what we have is craftsmanship. Let's talk character. Because at Barça, the goalkeeper position is more than just stopping shots, it's a personality. It's having the Madrid press with a daily magnifying glass looking for flaws to create the trending topic of the day. Wojciech chews that up and spits it out. For a decade and a half, he's been in the elite, with everyone waiting for the mistake to post the tweet, and there he is, still adding up. In Italy, they've thrown everything at him, from eternal low blocks to coming out high with a high line. He's seen it all, and he's still here. He's a guy with natural leadership who doesn't hide in the locker room, who speaks when needed, who stays silent when appropriate, in a Barça that is rearming, with Flica tightening the screws and bringing back the culture of detail. Having a top veteran makes the difference. Having a high-level veteran in Barca's goal isn't just a tactical detail, it's a silent revolution. When we talk about great goalkeepers at FC Barcelona, we're not just talking about safe hands or lightning reflexes. We're talking about men who carried a philosophy, an identity, a way of understanding the game that goes far beyond their penalty area. Valdés, Bravo, Ter Stegen, and now Szczesny. Each of them defined an era, not just through their saves, but through what they brought beyond that. Leadership, collective intelligence, and the ability to turn a defense into an impenetrable fortress while being the first link in a devastating attack. Valdés was the silent leader, the discreet architect of a dynasty. With him, Barça didn't just have a goalkeeper, they had a strategist. A man whose left foot was sometimes as valuable as his hands. Who remembers those pinpoint goal kicks that launched Messi or Xavi into lethal counterattacks? Valdés was the perfect balance of composure and audacity, a goalkeeper who didn't just clear the ball but built the game. He was the first to understand that in modern football, a goalkeeper shouldn't just be a spectator but a key player. His legacy: a style of play where defense wasn't just a passive line of resistance but a launchpad for offensive play. With him, Barça learned that possession didn't start at the halfway line, it started in the 6-yard box. Then came Bravo, the man who brought a winning mentality, the mindset of a champion. When he arrived, some doubted him, a goalkeeper who was no longer a starter at Real Madrid. Was he really the solution? But Bravo proved that experience, when used wisely, is a formidable weapon. He was the goalkeeper of titles, the one who managed high-pressure moments, media scrutiny, and decisive matches where a single mistake could change everything. He brought mental stability, the ability to remain unshaken when everything seemed to be falling apart. With him, Barça won tight games, psychological duels, battles where the difference wasn't made by pure talent but by cold execution. Bravo was the guarantee that, even in the worst moments, someone behind kept a cool head. Ter Stegen represented the modern evolution. A complete goalkeeper, capable of playing like a sweeper, coming out in one-on-one situations with the boldness of a central defender, and distributing the ball with the precision of a midfielder. His European nights, his impossible saves, his passes that unbalanced opposing defenses. Ter Stegen was the symbol of a Barça that, even in transition periods, maintained the ambition to dominate through play. But he also showed the limits of a goalkeeper too exposed, sometimes weakened by injuries or doubts. Yet, at his best, he was the bridge between the Guardiola era and what Barça is trying to rebuild today. A goalkeeper who isn't just a last line of defense but the first builder of the game. And now, Szczesny. Why him? Because he embodies exactly what Flick's Barça needs, a blend of Bravo's experience, Valdés' composure, and Ter Stegen's modern versatility. Szczesny is the bridge between eras. A goalkeeper who has seen it all, lived it all. The pressure of the Premier League, the tight duels of Serie A, the European nights where a single moment can define a season. He brings immediate reliability, the ability to stabilize a young and sometimes shaky defense. With him, defenders like Araujo or Kound know they have a wall behind them, but also a guide. A goalkeeper who doesn't just shout orders but embodies them, setting an example through positioning, game reading, and handling high-pressure moments. And then there's Europe. The big Champions League nights, those matches where Barça must reclaim its former glory. With Flick, The project is clear: offensive football, high pressing, aggressive ball recovery, and rapid transitions. But for all of this to work, you need a goalkeeper who can reduce space, play high, come out fearlessly in one-on-one situations, and distribute precisely to launch counterattacks. Szczesny is exactly that. A goalkeeper who, when Barça pushes high, advances his line by 20 meters, turning the defense into an offensive weapon. Imagine LAMINE, YAMAL or PEDRI accelerating through the middle, the opposing defense disorganized, and behind them, Szczesny covering the spaces, providing the security that allows attackers to play without fear. Because that's the real issue: confidence. A goalkeeper like Szczesny is a safety net for the entire team. When GAVI or Fermin Lopez take risks in midfield, when ball charges up the wing like a madman, they know they have a goalkeeper behind them who can fix mistakes, manage transitions, and turn dangerous situations into new opportunities. Without this confidence, even the best attackers play with a sword of Damocles hanging over their heads. With Szczesny, Barça can finally play with freedom, without the paralyzing fear that sometimes grips young talents. And then there's balance. Football is like a scale. If you're a cyclone up front, you need a rock at the back. Szczesny is that rock. A wall with a brain, capable of reading the game, anticipating passes, and coming out at the right time to cut off a counterattack before it starts. It's no coincidence that Flick chose him. Because a goalkeeper like him isn't just another player, he's a cornerstone of the system. He allows Barça to play high without being caught off guard, to press without losing balance, to attack without fearing counters. Without him, the team falls apart. With brilliant attackers but a fragile defense, Barça would be like a body without a spine, capable of moments of genius but always one mistake away from collapse. Szczesny is that spine. He allows Flick to build something solid and lasting, a project where every player knows that if they take a risk, someone behind them has broad enough shoulders to handle it. So yes, some will say he's a veteran, that Barça should bet on youth. But they forget one thing: football is also about timing. Sometimes, you need an experienced player to stabilize a group, to show the way, to bring that winning mentality that doesn't improvise itself. Szczesny is that, the perfect balance between reassuring experience and the ambition to move forward. And in a young, ambitious, sometimes overly impulsive dressing room, a leader like him is gold. Because at Barça, a goalkeeper isn't just someone who stops shots. He's someone who carries a philosophy, embodies an identity, and allows the team to play without fear. Valdez did it. Bravo did it. Ter Stegen did it. Now it's Szczesny's turn. And if everything goes as planned, he could well be the missing piece, the one that allows Flick's Barça to reclaim the summit. Not just in Spain, but in Europe. Because a great Barça is built with attackers who dazzle, and a goalkeeper who lets them sleep soundly.